They laughed together, dreamed together, and shared everything, until envy crept in. When Amaka gave her best friend a wig for her birthday, she called it a gift of love. But love had nothing to do with it. What happened next? No one saw coming. They were born on the same day, in the same hospital in Lagos. Their mothers met in the maternity ward, and from that moment, Amaka and Chineye became like sisters. They grew up together in Surulere, their houses only a few streets apart. They attended the same schools, wore matching ribbons, and later both got admitted into the University of Lagos. Everyone knew them as inseparable. But though they shared everything, the world didn't see them equally. Chineye had that kind of beauty that stopped people in their tracks. Her smile was wide and bright, her skin smooth and her voice soft like music. When she entered a lecture hall, heads turned. Even lecturers spoke to her with extra patience. Amaka was beautiful too, in a quieter, softer way. She was the kind of girl people noticed only after a second look. She was intelligent, caring, and loyal. But next to Chineye, she always disappeared into the background. At first, Amaka didn't mind. She loved her friend. They laughed together, studied together, and shared late-night noodles while complaining about school stress. But then came Obinna. He was tall, neat, and spoke with that calm confidence that drew people in. He was a final-year engineering student who often visited their department for tutorials. The first day he helped Amaka carry her books to the cafeteria, she felt something spark in her heart. She told Chineye that night in the hostel. "Chineye, I think I like him," she whispered, blushing. Chineye laughed. "Eh? So Amaka has finally fallen in love?" They giggled about it for hours. Amaka dreamed about him for days, how he smiled, how he said her name. She imagined walking hand in hand with him after lectures, but life had another plan. 2 weeks later, Obinna joined their study group, and his eyes began to follow Chineye. He complimented her hair, he brought her snacks, he waited for her after class. Soon everyone could see it. Obinna had fallen for Chineye. Amaka tried to hide her pain. She forced smiles, acted like nothing had changed, but every time she saw them talking, something inside her twisted tighter. The laughter she once loved now sounded like betrayal. She told herself to forget him, but her heart refused. She stopped talking much during their group meetings. She started avoiding Chineye, giving excuses not to hang out. Then, one afternoon as she scrolled through Instagram, she saw a post that shattered her. Obinna and Chineye smiling together at an ice cream shop. The caption read, "My favorite person." That night, Amaka cried until her pillow was soaked. Something inside her broke that couldn't be mended with tears. From that day, love turned into envy. Envy turned into anger. And anger began to whisper dangerous ideas. Weeks passed. Chineye's birthday was coming up, a big event she had been planning for months. She invited Amaka, excited like always, saying, "Babe, it won't be fun without you." Amaka smiled faintly and said, "Don't worry, I'll be there. I will even get you something special," and indeed, she did. A gift that would change everything. The sun was harsh over Lagos that Wednesday afternoon. Hawkers shouted, buses honked, and the air smelled of roasted corn and hot dust. Amaka walked through Balagun Market, her heart full of noise louder than the street itself. Chineye's birthday was 2 days away and everyone in school wouldn't stop talking about it. There were flyers online, a rented hall in Yaba, even a makeup artist booked weeks ahead. Chineye was turning 21, the golden girl of the campus. Everywhere Amaka went, she heard her name. Chineye this, Chineye that. Chineye's dress will scatter the whole party. Amaka smiled bitterly to herself. Nobody ever said her name that way. She wasn't ugly. In fact, people sometimes told her she was pretty, but in a calm way, not the kind that made people stare. Still, she'd learned to live in Chineye's shadow, until now. This birthday, she wanted things to be different, not because she wanted to shine, but because she wanted Chineye to stop shining. As she walked deeper into the market, her mind replayed every memory of Obinna choosing her friend. The way his eyes followed Chineye, the way he ignored her messages, the way she'd cried that night while Chineye texted him in the same room. Her chest tightened. "She took everything from me," Amaka whispered under her breath. "She can have him." But she won't keep everything. That's when she noticed it. A narrow corner between two stalls, covered in black fabric. A board above it read, "Hair Beyond Beauty." It wasn't there the last time she came to the market. Curious, Amaka stepped closer. The stall was quiet and dim. Inside sat an old woman, her eyes deep and knowing, like she had been expecting her. "Welcome, daughter," the woman said in a low, crackly voice. "You seek something for someone who has too much." Amaka froze. "How did you—" The woman smiled. The heart always speaks louder than the mouth. She opened a small box on the table. Inside lay a black wig, shining under the dim light like wet silk. "This wig," the woman whispered, "is not for everyone. It gives beauty beyond human eyes. But beauty must be paid for." Amaka's lips trembled. "What kind of payment? It takes from the inside." Slowly. "The wearer may look perfect on the outside, but what's within begins to fade." Amaka stared at the wig, her pulse quickening. She knew what the woman meant. This was not an ordinary gift. It was a curse. The right thing to do was to walk away. But instead, Amaka stepped closer. "How much?" she asked quietly. The woman tilted her head. "You still want it?" "Yes," Amaka whispered. "That's the point." The old woman gave a smile that wasn't quite kind. "You understand it cannot be undone." Amaka nodded. "I don't care." She handed over the money, every naira she had saved from her campus jobs. The woman wrapped the wig carefully in black silk and placed it in a box. As Amaka turned to leave, the woman's voice echoed after her. "The moment she wears it, her beauty will never be the same again, nor will her soul." Amaka didn't look back. She just kept walking, her heart pounding with a strange mix of excitement and guilt. When she reached her hostel, she locked the door and placed the box on her bed. She opened it slowly. The wig looked perfect, soft, shiny, and almost alive. When she touched it, it felt warm, like it had its own heartbeat. For a moment, she imagined Chineye wearing it, smiling, laughing, while everything inside her quietly began to rot. A chill ran down Amaka's spine, but she forced a smile. "You had your turn, Chineye," she whispered. "Now it's mine." She wrapped the box again and tied a ribbon around it. Tomorrow she would attend the birthday party with a smile. Tomorrow she would give her best friend a gift she would never forget. And tomorrow the curse would begin. The birthday party was loud and bright, just like Lagos nights always are. Music blasted through the speakers, lights flashed in blue and pink, and the crowd filled the rented hall in Yaba with laughter and excitement. Everyone had come to celebrate Chineye, the campus queen, the girl everyone loved, the one who seemed to have it all. Amaka stood near the entrance holding a gold-wrapped box in her hands. She wore a red gown just like Chineye had asked. Her lips curved into a polite smile, but her heart beat fast, not with joy but with anticipation. When Chineye saw her, she screamed with happiness and ran into her arms. "My sister." "You came." Amaka hugged her tightly. "Of course I did. I wouldn't miss this for anything." They laughed, posed for pictures, and for a while it almost felt like old times, like before jealousy, before love, before everything turned sour. Then Amaka brought out the box. "I got you something special," she said softly. Chineye's eyes lit up. She carefully unwrapped it, gasped, and covered her mouth. "Amaka, this wig, it's beautiful." The light from the hall shimmered against the strands. It was deep black, smooth and soft like silk. Everyone nearby turned to look. "Wow, that's premium hair, girl," one of the guests shouted. "It must have cost a fortune," said another. Amaka smiled faintly. "You deserve it," she said. And she meant it, in her own way. Chineye hugged her tightly. "Thank you so much, Amaka." "You've always been the best." That hug felt heavy, because Amaka knew what would follow. 2 weeks after her birthday, Chineye was invited to a big wedding in Lekki. It was one of those high-class Lagos weddings, the kind with chandeliers, champagne fountains, and photographers everywhere. She wanted to look perfect. That morning, she called her favourite stylist, Bisi, to fix her hair. She brought out the same wig Amaka had given her, the one everyone had admired at her birthday party. "Ah, this hair is fine-o," Bisi said, brushing it carefully. "Who got it for you?" "My best friend," Chineye replied with a smile. "It's my favourite now." Bisi used the best glue, laid the edges neatly, and styled it into soft curls. When Chineye looked in the mirror, she gasped. "Wow, I look like a movie star." The wig gleamed under the salon lights, almost as if it had its own glow. At the wedding, Chineye was the centre of attention. Everyone turned to look when she entered the hall. Even the bride stopped for a moment to stare. "Ah, Chineye! You're shining, oh," her friends said. Cameras flashed. Compliments poured in. Obinna, who had been distant for days, couldn't take his eyes off her. Everything felt perfect. Until that night. When she got home and tried to remove the wig, it wouldn't move. She pulled gently. Nothing. She tried again, harder. Still nothing. "Maybe Bisi used too much glue," she said, laughing nervously. She soaked a towel with warm water and placed it on her hair. She used alcohol remover, then coconut oil, then everything she could find online. Still, the wig refused to come off. By midnight, her head began to ache. It felt tight, like something was gripping her scalp. The next morning, she went back to Bisi's salon. "Ha! What kind of glue did you use?" Chineye asked, trying to stay calm. Bisi frowned. "Normal glue now. Don't worry, I'll remove it." She used oil, alcohol, even a special melting cream. Nothing worked. When Bisi tugged one more time, Chineye screamed, "Ah! It's like the hair is part of your head." Bisi stepped back slowly, her face pale. "I've never seen this before, oh." Chineye's heart started to race. She went home staring at herself in the mirror. The wig looked perfect. Shiny, healthy, beautiful. But when she touched her scalp, it felt warm, almost alive. Over the next few days, she began to change. Her once bright eyes grew dull. Her laughter faded. She felt weak all the time, like something was slowly draining her energy. At first, she thought she was just tired. But soon, her skin started losing its glow. Her cheekbones became sharper, her lips pale. The beautiful girl who once turned heads began to look sickly. Yet the wig still looked flawless. She tried everything: hot water, scissors, even a barber. But no matter what she did, the wig refused to come off. When she looked closely in the mirror, she saw something horrifying. Tiny black veins spreading from her hairline down her forehead. One night, she woke up to a faint whisper. "Beautiful. Forever." She turned on the light. No one was there. But when she touched her hair, it pulsed, softly, like a heartbeat. Chineye screamed and ran to her mirror, shaking. "What is happening to me?" she cried. Then she noticed something else. The reflection in the mirror wasn't moving exactly like her. It smiled when she didn't. Its eyes were darker, emptier. Tears filled her eyes as she grabbed her phone. She dialed Amaka's number. "Please," she said, her voice shaking. "Something is wrong with the wig you gave me." There was a pause on the line. Then Amaka's calm voice replied, "Wrong? How can something that makes you beautiful be wrong?" "It's stuck, Amaka." "It won't come off. I'm not feeling fine." There was silence again. Then a soft sigh. "Maybe," Amaka said coldly. "It's just finally showing who you truly are." The call ended. Chineye dropped her phone, her hands trembling. Tears rolled down her cheeks as the light in her room flickered once, then twice. The next morning, she could barely get out of bed. Her body felt heavy, her reflection unfamiliar. The wig still shone beautifully, mocking her, and deep beneath it something dark whispered her name. Days turned into weeks, and Chineye grew worse. She stopped attending classes, she stopped posting pictures. The once lively, cheerful girl everyone admired had suddenly vanished from campus life. At first, her friends thought she was just busy or going through stress. But when she missed tests and group presentations, people started asking questions. "Amaka, where's Chineye?" one of their classmates asked after a lecture. "We haven't seen her in almost 2 weeks." Amaka forced a smile. "Oh, she travelled to see her aunt." "She's fine," she lied quickly. But she wasn't fine. In truth, Chineye was lying on her hostel bed, pale and weak, her body almost unrecognizable. Her beautiful skin had turned dull and greyish. Her once bright eyes had sunk deep into their sockets. The wig still clung to her head, black and glossy, as if mocking her suffering. Each day she grew thinner. Each night she heard whispers. "Beautiful. Forever," the voice murmured in her dreams. One hot afternoon, Adaora, one of their coursemates, decided to check on her. She knocked several times. When there was no answer, she pushed the door open, and what she saw made her scream. Chineye was lying still, her lips dry, her body fragile like a shadow of her former self. Her bones showed under her skin, and her breathing was slow and painful. "Oh my God, Chineye!" Adaora shouted. She called others, and soon 2 girls came running. They lifted her weak body and rushed her out of the hostel. When her parents arrived the next morning, they could hardly recognize their daughter. Her mother cried out the moment she saw her. "This is not my child." "What happened to my baby?" They took her to one of the best hospitals in Lagos. Doctors ran every test they could think of: blood, brain, infection. But everything came back normal. "There's no medical reason for this," one doctor said quietly. "Her body is shutting down, but we can't find out why." They tried surgery to remove the wig, but every attempt failed. When the surgeon's scissors touched it, they snapped in half like glass. Even with anesthesia, Chineye screamed in pain as if the wig were alive. Her parents were desperate. Pastors came. Prophets prayed. Yet nothing worked. Amaka avoided visiting. She told herself it wasn't her fault, that she didn't mean for it to go this far. But at night, she couldn't sleep. Her dreams were full of Chineye's weak voice calling her name. "Why, Amaka? Why did you do this to me?" Her guilt grew heavier with every passing day. Then one Sunday morning, she woke up shaking, unable to breathe properly. It felt like something inside her was collapsing. She burst into tears and whispered, "I can't take it anymore." That evening, she went to Chineye's house. Her parents were in the living room, their eyes red from crying. When Amaka entered, Chineye's mother stood up immediately. "You," she said softly. "You were her closest friend. Do you know what happened to my daughter?" Amaka's lips trembled. She couldn't hold it in anymore. Tears rolled down her face as she fell to her knees. "It was me," she whispered. "I gave her the wig. I knew it was cursed." There was silence. Even the ticking clock seemed to stop. "What did you just say?" Chineye's father asked in disbelief. Amaka cried harder. "I was jealous. She had everything: beauty, love, attention. I just wanted her to feel the way I felt. I bought the wig from an old woman at Balogun Market. She told me it would take something from her, but I didn't care. I thought it would just make her ugly. I didn't know it would kill her." Chineye's mother screamed and covered her face. "You cursed my child because she was beautiful?" Her father clenched his fists, shaking with anger and grief. "You destroyed her life." Amaka sobbed uncontrollably, her words tumbling out between tears. "I'm sorry. I swear I didn't mean for it to go this far. Please forgive me." But forgiveness didn't come that day. Chineye's parents sent her out of the house, shouting through tears. Amaka ran into the street, crying, shaking, haunted by guilt. That night, she sat alone in her room, staring at her reflection in the mirror. And for a brief second, she thought she saw the same black wig resting on her own head, glowing faintly in the darkness. Amaka screamed and hurled the nearest object at the mirror. The glass shattered, scattering her reflection into 1,000 trembling fragments. But even as the pieces fell, she knew the truth. The curse had already found its way back to her. Thunder rolled across the Lagos sky that night, heavy, restless, and angry. Inside Chineye's home, candles burned low, and the air was thick with the scent of incense and fear. Chineye lay on the bed, barely breathing, her body thin and fragile like dry paper. The black wig still clung to her head, alive and glistening under the flickering light. Every few minutes she whimpered softly, whispering words only the spirits could understand. Her mother knelt beside her, crying, "God, please don't take my child." Across the room, Amaka stood in silence, her face pale, her heart pounding with guilt. She had told them everything, the market woman, the curse, the jealousy that led her here. Now the truth hung in the air like a wound that refused to close. "You did this," Chineye's father said in a trembling voice. "You brought darkness into our home." Amaka fell to her knees, sobbing. "I didn't know it would kill her. I swear I was blinded by anger. I'm so sorry." No one answered her. The only sound was Chineye's weak breathing and the low hum of the cursed wig. Weeks passed. Then one day, Chineye's parents heard whispers about an old priestess from Epe. A woman said to walk between the living and the spirits. Desperate, they sent for her. When she arrived, the house fell silent. Wrapped in white cloth and adorned with cowrie beads, the priestess stepped quietly through the door. Her presence filled the room, calm, commanding, and ancient. And when she finally spoke, her voice was deep and steady, slicing through the heavy air like a knife. "The spirit that feeds on beauty will not leave easily," she said. "But there is still hope." The family listened as she explained the ritual. For 7 nights they must pray, wash Chineye's head with sacred water, and burn the ashes of jealousy written on parchment. They did everything as told. Each night the air grew colder, heavier. Chineye screamed, the wig pulsing like a living thing. But on the 7th night, as the priestess chanted the final words, the wig began to loosen. It fell away slowly, strand by strand, until it turned to black ash that disappeared before touching the floor. And just like that, silence. Chineye collapsed into her mother's arms, finally free. But the peace that returned to the house could not touch Amaka's heart. When Chineye opened her eyes days later, she refused to look at her. "You took everything from me," she said weakly, "even my peace." Amaka broke down. "Please, Chineye. I didn't mean for this to happen. I would do anything to take it back, but the distance between them was now wider than oceans. Soon everyone at school found out what happened. They called Amaka names: witch, jealous friend, evil girl. Her lecturers avoided her, and no one wanted to share a class seat with her again. Within months, she dropped out. Her parents, disappointed and ashamed, sent her away to Ibadan to live quietly with an aunt. "Pray for forgiveness," her father said coldly. "That's all you can do now." As for Chineye, she recovered slowly, but her heart never did. She stopped wearing wigs, stopped trusting friends, stopped believing in kindness. When she got a scholarship to study abroad, she accepted it immediately. She left Lagos without saying goodbye, determined to start over where no one knew her story. Amaka sent her long messages, voice notes filled with tears and apologies. But Chineye never replied. And so, my friends, this story ended with betrayal. Amaka and Chineye, 2 girls who once shared everything: birthdays, secrets, laughter, and dreams. But one tiny seed of envy grew into something darker than either of them could control. What started as friendship turned into competition. What began as admiration turned into jealousy. And in the end, love turned into pain. Amaka lost her peace and Chineye lost her trust. Both were victims, one of her own heart, and the other of someone else's. Let this story remind us, no matter how much the world praises another, never let envy take root inside you. Because envy doesn't just destroy the one you envy, it destroys you first.